Hello dear friends, glad to see you on my channel Poppy Nap, and today we continue to explore the boundless universe of Poppy Playtime to reveal all the secrets and answer all your questions. Just like in the previous videos, we will try together with you to understand all the moments that are unclear to you, to go deeper into the meaning of the game and to find out what mob entertainment developers meant in this or that scene. For a long time after playing the game, and not only I, but many people, still have a question. What is Prototype? What does it look like? Why do the developers pay so much attention to it? After the release of Poppy Playtime Chapter 3, its popularity has come close to our favorite Huggy Wuggy and Kissy Missy. While browsing YouTube, I came across a lot of Prototype videos, but almost all of them tell the story of Prototype and Catnap. I have the exact same video on my channel about their story, but no one has ever shown me a video about Prototype and what he looks like. So today, together with you, I decided to understand it. I hope this topic will be interesting for you, so watch this video till the end, so you won't miss anything important and always be aware of all the news from the world of Poppy Playtime. Here we go. To begin with, what is the Prototype? The Prototype is a black mechanical prosthetic that has a human bone at its base that acts as a joint. At the end of this prosthetic, there are long pointed fingers. Recall that Prototype is first mentioned to us in Poppy Playtime Chapter 1 on the black VHS tape as Experiment 1006 Prototype. Prototype was described to us as being willing to kill for no reason, as if it gives him pleasure. It should also be noted that Prototype has quite a bit of intelligence, as evidenced by one of the scientists on the VHS tape, where he describes how Prototype used something like a laser pointer to interfere with a security camera and escape from the room in which he was imprisoned. He also had good organizational skills because he was the one who, according to our information, organized that famous The Hour of Joy, which was fatal for the Playtime factory. As far as we know from the words of Mommy Long-Legged, Prototype collects remains of dead characters and uses them as elements for his new body.
What have you done? You make me part of you!
So, from here we can conclude that this prosthesis, which was shown to us in both the second and third parts of the game, is only a part of his body, but not his whole body. I believe that Prototype clearly has a plan and is clearly following it. Sometimes it feels like we are playing a game not Poppy Playtime, but Prototype Playtime, because when he needs to, he is even willing to sacrifice his most loyal assistant, the one who killed all the monsters, even those who simply did not agree with Prototype. I think you have already realized that we are talking about Catnap. The question arises, is he really so huge, scary, and strong that all monsters are afraid of him, even those who serve him, because they do not know what to expect from someone who has such power and intelligence? Let's try to understand all the information related to Prototype, which we received from chapter to chapter. Let's start at the very beginning with Poppy Playtime Chapter 1. At the end of the game, after the fall of Huggy Wuggy, we find the last VHS tape which tells us about Experiment 1006. I wondered what Experiment 1006 was. Many of the fans thought that Experiment 1006 was Huggy Wuggy, as it was almost the only monster we meet in the game, and none of the players noticed the faint image of a hand on the screen. So, in the VHS tape, we learn that a mysterious scientist, now we can assume that this scientist was Dr. Harley Sawyer, is making a final recording of Experiment 1006 called Prototype, and on this recording he highlights his core skills, namely coordination and cooperation. These skills are observed in all representatives of his species. What exactly this species is, we are not told. We can only assume that this species was all known monsters, or only intelligent monsters, like Prototype or Poppy Doll. The skills mentioned above were apparently used by Prototype during the Hour of Joy, and judging by the shouting in the background that can be heard when playing the VHS tape, we can tell that it was recorded during this event and that it was organized by Prototype's hands.
Final log. In relation, Experiment 1006, the Prototype. Coordination and cooperation is evidently within his skill set, as well as the skill set of all other experiments of his type. Though still missing, today's events are no doubt in relation to him. His absence was a flaw in the scientific process, which should have under no circumstances been left unaccounted for. That's why I'm making this log, so that the same mistake won't be made twice. Any future experiments will need to be contained and disposed of in a secure location. I'm not worried about myself. One breakthrough and I'll be back. We must forge onwards in the name of science, whether those who are beneath us understand it or not. End of...
Then we move smoothly to the second part of our favorite game, Poppy Playtime, and here we already see the first appearance of Prototype. At that time, a lot of fans had a lot of opinions about what kind of hand was it, Why did it steal the remains of Mommy Longlegs, and why was it added to the game at all? But the latest VHS tape has clarified things a bit. This VHS tape shows the hand more clearly than in the first part of the game, and here the scientist shares his observations, noting the high intelligence of Prototype after his attempt to escape, because he tried to pull off an interesting idea, creating a laser pointer out of an alarm clock. That is, here the scientist notes Prototype's high level of intelligence, indicating that he is capable of not only developing plans, but is also an excellent inventor.
Log code 08502. In relation, experiment 1006, the prototype. A close call occurred this week in which he nearly breached containment. The prototype seemingly disassembled the digital alarm clock within his room and utilized the battery, along with several other components, to create a laser pointer, which he then fired into the security camera, disabling it. These actions allowed him 28.3 seconds completely unmonitored. Once function returned to the camera, the room appeared to be empty. One surveillance specialist went in to confirm his absence. However, upon opening the door, she realized that the prototype had hidden in one of the camera's blind spots. The prototype attempted to escape through the open door. However, another surveillance specialist was able to remotely relock the door, despite the other specialist still being inside. One casualty occurred. The prototype seems to possess an unprecedented level of intelligence, beyond that of all other test subjects, as well as an alarming willingness to commit violence. Further suppression treatments will need to be enacted to ensure that no other experiments develop these qualities. Experiment 1170, Huggy Wuggy, remains the optimal outcome due to his sufficient intelligence paired with maximum obedience. End of log.
All fans have an opinion that if Prototype was kept in a cage under video surveillance, then most likely in this or the next chapter, we will be shown footage from this camera. But neither in the second nor in the third chapter, we did not see them. Also in Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, we learn that Prototype is building himself a new body, and we learned this from the main antagonist of the second chapter, Mommy Longlegs, just before her death. And now we are approaching the third part of the game. Here, in the penultimate VHS tape, we hear a full dialogue between Prototype and the scientist Dr. Harley Sawyer. As we listen to this VHS tape, we learn that Prototype is stubborn and reluctant to make contact, suggesting that some mistakes have been made during the experiments that led to his behavior. Prototype makes it clear that he is against these experiments. Just before the end of the conversation, Prototype wonders what the purpose of the experiments is, and the scientist tells him that there is a secret hidden in him, and that he will get to it at any cost.
Log code 24459. In relation, experiment 1006, the prototype. Stubborn as he is, and always silent with each passing session, I'm still uncovering fresh data nonetheless. Today's discovery. End of log.
Ready to talk now, are you? I possess
A question.
Go ahead.
Do you feel anything?
This question referred to what exactly?
You stick us,
Beat us.
tear at flesh.
Do you feel it? There's a secret inside you, 1006. Valuable beyond all measure. I cut and prod and burn at it, and I get closer with each session. So speak, or don't. Fight, or give in. Regardless, I learn something new about you every day. It excites me. Thank you. You thank me? Absolutely. I learn something new about you every day.
The attentive players could also notice that Prototype uses different voices during this conversation, which he could also apply to our character during that mysterious call. It turns out that we are learning more and more about Prototype, even though we haven't seen it once. But we are all interested in what can Prototype look like. Unfortunately, Prototype's face was not shown to us in any part of the game, and there are practically no leaks on this topic. All we know about his body is his hand. More precisely, it would be more correct to call it a prosthetic arm, in the base of which we can notice a human bone. As we know, many experiments were conducted with the help of people who agreed to be test subjects, or were forced to be. In the Playtime factory, it was different. The bone on Prototype's arm gives away that it is likely that it, like many other experiments, was created using a human. But it's not Prototype's arm that we're most interested in, it's his face. I have a couple of guesses as to what his face might look like. My first assumption is that Prototype's arm looks like a robot's arm, and hence my assumption that his face looks like a robot's face. My next assumption is based on the bone that is part of the arm, hence my assumption that for the face they took the skull of the person they decided to make Prototype from. And my next theory, the most likely of all the theories I will present to you, is that Prototype has in fact already been shown to us, namely the altar that Catnap created for him, of all the monsters that Catnap killed for Prototype, and that this stuffed animal will be the new body for Prototype. So what do you think Prototype really looks like? Do you agree with my theory about Prototype's new body? Anyway, leave your opinion in the comments, I'll be very interested to know it, and also leave ideas for new videos in the comments to make it even more interesting for you to watch me. Like this video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with news from the world of Poppy Playtime. Well, that's it for today. See you soon. Bye.